Are you at a point in life where you're wondering whether your life goals are actually achievable? Are you starting to ask yourself whether there's enough time left for you on this planet to actually create the life that you really wanted to be living? You know, when you think back to your early 20s and you thought, yeah, by the time I'm 30, 40, 50, I'll have this kind of house, I'll be traveling the world, I'll have this kind of money. Do you look back and think, God, there's just such a gap between where I am and where I hoped I'd be? I'm Emma Haig and I help self-employed women over 40 achieve their life goals so they can stop wishing and start planning. And I'm going to share with you today my 9-step formula to do just that. So let's get started. So step 1 in my 9-step formula is to ask yourself, is my goal big enough? Now, why is it important to have a big goal? You need to be aiming for something beyond what you actually think is possible. Think about athletes, think about fighters, think about people who really are going for it in life, who have a goal, who make big achievements, who do things that most people can only dream about. They are going for the big time. They have set their sights on something big, they've committed to it, and they're going to work out how to do it come hell and high water. And that's what you need to do. If you significantly want to change your life and create permanent and lasting change and improve those results, you are going to have to go for something big. Now, in our campus, we call these C-type goals. So we have A, B, and C-type goals. An A-type goal is a goal that you already know you can do. So maybe you ran the London Marathon a couple of years ago and you think, right, I want to do that again next year. That's what we'd call an A-type goal, okay? It's not really a goal at all because you already know you can do it. It's just something to put on your to-do list, okay? You might have to do some more training. You might have to refresh your memory about certain things, but you know that you can do it because you've already done it before. And that's what we call an A-type goal. A B-type goal is what most people go to next, and that's kind of the next step up. So a B-type goal is something you think you can probably achieve. Okay, this is what most people go for. Okay, it's an incremental increase on what they've done previously. So, you know, if you've got a business, you might think, yeah, I'll go for a 3 or 4 or 5% increase in sales next year, or you know, I might decide to lose a little bit of weight, or I might, you know, I might decide to upgrade my car or something like that. You know, the kind of small goals that most people aim for because they feel like they're achievable and they think that there's no point going for anything bigger because it's not achievable. Okay, this is a huge, huge mistake because there's no motivation in an A or B type goal. Okay, there's no skin in the game. There's nothing to lose if things go wrong. You know, most people who have an A or B type goal get so far along, and if things don't go right, they say, oh, well, we'll just stick what we've got for now. Stick with what we've got for now, or you know, maybe I'll change the goal, or maybe I'll go for it next year, or I'll give it another 6 months and then I'll try again. That's what happens with an A or B type goal, and that's why most people don't actually even achieve those type goals. So to actually think about achieving this dream life, this big picture, you know, most people are relying on a lottery win. And for the vast, vast, vast majority of us, that ain't gonna happen. So why rely on the chances of winning the lottery, which are millions to one, when you could actually take it into your own hands and say, do you know what? I want this kind of house. I want this kind of job. I want this kind of income. I'm going to find out how to make it happen and I'm going to do it. And that is what we call a C-type goal. It's that vision that you have of the life that you really, really want to be living. And you know what? There's a far better chance that you will achieve something like that or near that if you have a big goal and you have a big vision rather than going small, because it's so motivating. It's so inspirational. It really gets you wired. You know, when you think about and you start to believe that it's actually possible, you think about achieving that goal and what it would mean for you, what it would mean for your family, how it would make you feel. That is what creates the motivation, and that's what helps you come up with the ideas on how to do it. So ask yourself, currently, is my goal big enough, or do I need to change it? Okay, that's step 1 in the formula, and I'll be back with step 2 in a second. Okay, so step 2 in our 9-step formula is what we call the knowing doing gap. Okay, there is a huge difference between what you know you should probably be doing in order to achieve that goal, that big goal that we talked about in step 1, and what you're actually doing. Okay, if you think about all the stuff that you know, all the courses that you've been on, the books that you've read, you've got so much information stored in your conscious mind, and you're probably not using it. Most of that information that would move you forward, you're probably not using, and this is what we call the knowing doing gap. And in order to close that gap, you've got to start to look at yourself, look at your daily activities, look at all the habitual behavior that you have. What do you do from the minute you wake up in the morning to the minute you go to bed on a night time? What's your day filled with? How many of those activities, how many of those actions, habits, how many of them are actually moving you towards your goal, and how many are either not helping you move towards your goal or are actually holding you back? And you need to identify those and start to think about how you're going to change that, because that habitual behavior will decide whether you achieve your goal or not. Okay, we're going to talk about paradigms in the next step, but your subconscious mind will force you to carry on acting the way you're acting until you make a committed decision to change it and start taking actions towards that. So think about your day. Think about the whole day, from the minute you wake up to the minute you go to bed on an hour-by-hour basis. What are you doing, and what should you be doing if you're going to focus on achieving this C-type goal, this big goal, this life that you really want? How do you need to change that behavior that you're currently exhibiting? Okay, so that's what I want you to do for step 2. Think about the habits, the behaviors, the actions during the day that you need to change, and write them down. And I'll be back with step 3 in a second. So step 3 in our 9-step formula is starting to use your infinite mind. Okay, what do I mean by that? Your mind, and we split the mind into the conscious mind and the subconscious mind in our teachings, but your mind has absolutely infinite potential to do anything that you want it to do. Okay, now that might be a struggle for some of you to understand or to believe, but it's absolutely true. When you go to any sources, theological sources, scientific sources, everybody, all of the experts for decades and decades have come to the conclusion that ultimately your potential, the potential of your mind to come up with ideas, to come up with solutions, is absolutely infinite. So you have to harness that and understand that all you've got to do is start using this potential that's there. Now, your subconscious mind holds something within it called your paradigm. Your paradigm's job is to try to stop you using that potential. Okay, sounds a bit harsh, but your paradigm is a multitude of habits and beliefs that have built up over the decades since you were conceived in the womb. All the information that you've taken on, all the things that you were told, things that were said to you, things that you saw, experiences that you've had, have built what we call a paradigm in your subconscious mind. And it's like your operating system, okay? It's the way you work, it's the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you do your hair, the way you stand, the way you think about things, the way you react to certain situations, the thoughts you have, the feelings you have. It's how you run, okay? Your paradigm is your operating system. And it's your paradigm that stops you making those changes that we identified in step 2. So that knowing doing gap, the difference between what you know you should be doing and what you're actually doing, is controlled by your paradigm. So think about it. You've probably already tried to make change in the past. you've probably already tried to change your habits. Maybe you've tried to lose some weight. Maybe you've tried to start going to the gym. Maybe you've tried to start changing your habits in your business to get more sales, to get more leads. And you start to implement something for a while. Maybe you stick to that diet for 3 or 4 days, or maybe a week or a couple of weeks. But your paradigm snaps you back to your habitual behavior. That programming that's in your subconscious mind is so strong that it will bring you back. It will snap you back to what you're used to doing and to what you are programmed to do. Unless you change that programming in your subconscious mind, you will find it really, really difficult to actually make a permanent change to those habits and those actions that we spoke about in step 2. So you need to start seeing yourself as the person who has the habits that you want, who is doing the things that you want to be doing, who is achieving that goal that you want to be achieving. And the reason is that the only way to change your paradigm, well, there are 2 ways to change your paradigm. Okay, one is through a negative emotional event. So, a bereavement, some kind of trauma, some kind of physical trauma, maybe a separation or a divorce. A big negative impact can change your programming. Okay, it can change what you believe is possible. It can change how you feel about other people. It can change the way you see the world and the way you see your potential. A big negative impact has the ability to do that, and that changes your paradigm. When that happens, something happens within you, in your paradigm, in your programming, that starts to make you act a different way. Okay, now we don't want to do this through some kind of big negative impact. The only other way to do it is through spaced, constant repetition of ideas. And what that means is constantly exposing your paradigm, your subconscious mind, to what you want. Okay, you need to start seeing yourself with the habits that you want. Your paradigm needs to change so that it will accept these ideas as being a part of you and as being a part of the new norm. Okay, and the way that we do that is through repetition. So if you're doing this on your own, you need to start visualizing or writing it down or whatever kind of resonates with you. You need to start seeing yourself, thinking about yourself with these positive habits, doing the things you know you need to do to move yourself forward. Some people will use affirmations. Some people are more, just writing it out and reading it back to themselves multiple times a day. But you've got to start seeing yourself with these new habits, making these changes, achieving the things you want to achieve before your paradigm, before your mental programming will actually allow you to make those permanent changes. Now, we talk more about this in my free 5-day challenge. So if you want to learn more, if you want to do this with us, please go sign up. You can do that at academy.emmahaig.com/free-challenge. And we'd love to have you. But this is something that you're going to have to work on, because just trying to force a change in your habits, just trying to force yourself to stop eating sugar, or force yourself to stop smoking, or just force yourself to get out of bed at 5:30 every morning and make sure you're on the phone to somebody at 9, cold calling them when it's something that you absolutely hate and you've always avoided. That's not going to work. Okay, not permanently. You might get a temporary change, you're not going to get a permanent change. So you need to start doing this kind of inner work, if you like, which might be new to a lot of you, but you've got to start actually imagining yourself doing the things that you want to do, or doing the things that you know you should be doing, before you will be able to actually instill them permanently. Okay, so that's step 3. Is start to think about what you want to be doing, what you want to be achieving, and work out a way for you to be able to do that. Okay, we have lots of tools and resources, but if you're doing this on your own, decide, are you a writing down person? Are you a visualizing person? Do you like to meditate? Do you like to record things and listen to your voice back? Whatever way works for you, you need to start doing this. see yourself with the habits, doing the things, taking the actions that you need to take to achieve the goal you want to achieve. Okay, that's step 3. I'll be back in a few seconds with step 4. So step 4 in our 9-step process is creating a schedule for success. Okay, so we've spoken about changing your habits, changing your behavior. You are going to have to get organized. Okay, if you're committed to achieving this big goal, you're going to have to get yourself a diary, get yourself a notepad, start making lists of the things you want to do, and you need to start scheduling your day. Okay, you're going to have to be disciplined. Now, discipline is being able to give yourself an order and follow it. And this isn't easy for most people. If somebody else, if you're in a job and a manager or your team leader gives you an order, then we'll generally follow it in most instances and just do what they're telling us to do or asking us to do. When you're giving yourself an order, it's a different kettle of fish. It's very easy to put it to one side or just shelve it or change it or whatever. There's nobody there to kind of hold us accountable. So you've got to hold yourself accountable. And the way I suggest doing that is by getting organised. I use something called a bullet journal. I'll put the link to the one that I use in the comments below. But you need to start scheduling out what you're going to do every day. Okay, building in those habits, those actions, those activities that you've identified that are going to pull you forward. You need to start building them into your day, slotting them into your diary, and making sure that nobody else interrupts you during that time. That time when you are putting aside for goal achieving activities is really, really important, and you need to start giving it priority. Okay, I would suggest things like don't answer your emails until after lunchtime. Okay, biggest mistake that people make, coming into the office or sitting down with the laptop, turning their emails on and starting reading their emails, and immediately somebody else takes control of your time. Okay, because something will be in there, whether it's a request from someone, maybe a work thing or a personal thing, and you think, oh, I better do that now before I forget. And lo and behold, you've gone off on a tangent and already your to-do list's behind. Or, it might be a sales thing that grabs your attention and you go off and start looking at websites or Facebook or whatever else. So I would definitely recommend you don't check your emails until after lunchtime. Don't check social media until after lunchtime. We're not saying don't check them at all. We're just saying give yourself some space to make sure you're prioritizing what you need to do to move yourself towards this goal. Okay, so getting organized, getting a schedule down, creating your own schedule for success is step 4. That's what you need to do next. I'll see you in a few seconds for step 5. So step 5 in our 9-step process for achieving your life goals is to start actually seeing yourself differently. Okay, in our program, we use our higher mental faculties. So your higher mental faculties, there's 6 of them. Your higher mental faculties are your memory, your reason, your perception, your will, your intuition, and your imagination. And it's really important that you start to strengthen all those higher mental faculties, because they are what we are going to work with to start to believe that these things that we're looking at, this C-type goal, that they are actually achievable. Okay, because most people will look at that C-type goal and it starts off as a fantasy and they'll go, well, I've got no idea how I'm going to do that. And pretty soon they start to kind of think, well, there's not even any point going for it because I don't know how to do it. It's not achievable. So I'll go back to an A or B type goal. We don't want you to do that. Okay, we want you to stick with the C type goal and to strengthen those higher mental faculties that will work with you and help you understand how you're going to do it and to believe that it is actually possible. Okay, so there are a couple of these that are more important than the others. I would say your imagination is crucial. Most of us aren't used to using our imagination. Okay, we use it when we're little, but we tend to, as we get older, we actually use our imagination for negative things. So we can quite easily imagine things that might go wrong. You know, what would happen if somebody was in a, I don't know, developed an illness, or if our partner left us, or something like that. You know, things that people kind of worry about and stress about, and really suffer breakdowns about. We can use our imagination really well for those kind of things, but people struggle with the positive things like setting a C-type goal, you know, because we're not used to using our imagination for that. It's kind of dumbed down when we're little. So imagination is one that you need to look at strengthening. Your will is one that you definitely need to look at strengthening. Again, going back to the knowing doing gap, your will is the ability to be able to focus on something, you know, and block everything else out until you've finished it. And will, as you can imagine, using your imagination, is really, really important when it comes to achieving things, to actually getting things done. So your imagination is important, your will is important. And for this step, perception is incredibly important. Okay, you have got to start seeing yourself as somebody who can achieve your goals. Okay, you've got to start changing your perception on what you think is possible. So ask yourself, currently, what do I believe is possible? What do I believe is possible for me? And I don't mean what do I believe is possible because I can see somebody else doing it, so yeah, I could probably do that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what do you believe at a soul level is possible for you? Okay, what do you believe is possible right now? And ask yourself why you think that. Where have those beliefs come from? Where did they, you know, who's told you that? Who have you seen that has made you think that way? What experiences have you had that have made you think that way? What have you read? You know, what have you watched? Where have those beliefs come from? And what would need to happen for you to change those beliefs? What would need to be true for those beliefs to change? Because you need to start understanding that all of this is possible for you. Okay, you have infinite potential. You absolutely have the ability and the potential to achieve that C-type goal. So what needs to be true for you to be able to believe that? Okay, that's step 5. I'm back with step 6 in a few seconds. So step 6 is all about your self-image and self-confidence. You know, when we're born, little babies are born absolutely perfect. Okay, we have no negativity, we have no bad feelings about ourselves, we just think anything's possible, we just think we can have whatever we want to have, we don't really have any fear of anything. That's how we are when we're born. But what happens is, as we grow up, over the years, we start to have this, what we call virus code, layered over the top of us. And all those lovely, wholesome, positive characteristics that we're all born with get buried under this virus code. So, you know, things happen to us, we're told certain things by our parents, by the people, we see things, much in the same way as your paradigm's formed, we form this self-image of ourselves. And we get all this stuff laid over the top, okay? We get this worry, doubt, anxiety, embarrassment, guilt, shame, all these kind of emotions get layered over the top of the stuff that's inside us. And so you hold an image of yourself. Bearing all that in mind, you have a self-image of yourself. You see yourself a certain way, and you will never outperform your self-image. So if your self-image is a negative one at the moment, if it's a limited one, if you can only see yourself ever doing what you're doing, only ever earning what you're earning, ever being in the relationship that you're in, that is all that you're ever going to get. Okay, so you have got to work on changing that self-image. How do you want to be? How do you want to see yourself? And, you know, the self-image is a part of the paradigm, so it's incredibly, incredibly powerful. You can learn all the technical stuff you want. You can learn all the other skills that you want, do all the courses. If you're holding a limiting self-image inside your mind, you're never going to outperform that. Okay, you are just not going to be able to put those tools that you've got to use, that information that you're holding in your conscious mind, you're not going to be able to put that to use in a way that will move you forward if you can only see yourself achieving what you're achieving now, or a little bit better, you know how we spoke about A and B type goals in step 1. So you need to change that self-image. And even if you've got a positive self-image, it can always be better. We are always working on our self-image as PGI consultants. We are always striving for better. And you need to do that too. If you're going to achieve better, you're going to have more, be more, or do more than you've currently got, you're going to have to build a winning self-image. And the way we start that process is by looking at other people, people around us, people that we admire, people who inspire us, maybe who've achieved what we want to achieve. And we start to look at their traits and make a note of their traits and the kind of habits they have and the kind of things they do, the way they react to people. You know, have a really good look at 3 or 4 people that you really admire and write down those traits, because they are all inside you. All of those qualities, all of those skills are inside you. You were born with them. You need to pull them out because you've got all that virus code layered over the top that we need to strip away. You know, speaking in public is a huge fear of people. A lot of people would like to be able to do it. It would catapult people forward if they could do it. But there's something that holds them back. There's this fear of what other people think and all the rest of it. But you absolutely have the ability to do it inside you if that's what you want to do. We need to peel away the stuff that's suppressing that and holding it down. And the way to do that is to start to see yourself as somebody who is confident in front of people, who is a clear speaker, who is able to express themselves and explain things clearly. And so you need to start actually seeing yourself as the person you want to become, and as the person, as the type of person who is going to achieve that C-type goal. So you need to write out your own self-image script. Okay, I'm so happy and grateful now that I am, and use the characteristics you've identified in other people to write out your own future avatar. You know, how do you want to be? Because you can become that person. It's through constant spaced repetition of ideas. Again, as we spoke about earlier, you can, if you write out the way you want to be and you repeatedly expose your subconscious mind to that by over and over and over again, reading it, listening to it, visualizing it, you can change your self-image, and you need to if you're going to achieve your C-type goal. Okay, again, self-image day is day 3 in my free 5-day Science of Success Quick Start Challenge. So the link's in the comments below for that if you would like to join us. I'd love to see you there. I'll be back in a few seconds with step 7. So step 7 in our 9-step process is letting go of fear. Okay, fear, or what we call the terror barrier, is the biggest barrier to most people achieving what they want to achieve. So what happens is, you know, you go through the process, you say, okay, yeah, I've identified this big goal that I want to go for. I know roughly what I need to do. Don't need to know exactly what to do. Okay, don't need to worry about the how at this point when you first get started, but you need to know, have some idea of what you want to be doing to get you to that big goal, to get you to the income, to get you to the house, to get you to the car and the relationship and all the other things that you want in that big C-type goal. So people start to think, okay, yeah, I can see that it could potentially be possible and maybe how I'd do it. And they start to go through the steps. And what happens is, as they start to get emotionally involved with this C-type goal and actually start to say, oh yeah, what if I could achieve that, then this would happen and that would happen, and I'd be able to do this for my family, and I'd be able to do this for my partner, and all these other things. People start to get emotionally involved with that C-type goal. And what happens is the paradigm suddenly rears its head and says, whoa, hang on a minute. Think of all the things you're going to have to do that. What if this goes wrong? What if that goes wrong? What will people think? What will this person think? You might lose your partner. And all these fears and doubts and worries start to come up. And what most people do is hit what we call the terror barrier and step back into safety. So most people listen to that paradigm with all these horrible things that could happen. The imagination starts going wild. And most people go, do you know what? I think I'll just stick with what I've got. I'll just be grateful for what I've got. I'll just, you know, I've got a lot of good things, and I don't need all those other things. I'll just stay where I am. And that is what happens to 98% of the population, and they stay stuck and they don't achieve the things they want to achieve. So we need to address this, okay? We need to look at this objectively and ask yourself, what worries you about achieving that C-type goal, or about the things you might have to do to achieve that C-type goal. So I want you to write down all the fears, the doubts, the worries that come up for you when you think about going for that C-type goal. Get them all out on a piece of paper so that you can look at them. And then I want you to go down each one of them and ask yourself, is this likely to happen? Is this actually a real possibility that this could happen? And B, I want you to put in place mitigating ideas. So I want you to think about, okay, what could I put in place to stop that coming to fruition? What could I put into place to stop that happening? That fear or doubt or worry that I've got, what could I put in place so that doesn't happen? Or mitigate it so that it didn't have a big effect? What could I put in place? Thinking about these things up front, because we worry about things. Most of the things we worry about are never going to happen. And you've got to ask yourself, what is the worst thing that could happen? What is the worst thing that could happen if I go for this C-type goal? Okay, now most people come up with things like, I might fail. Well, so what's the worst thing that could happen if you fail? People will laugh at you. Things like, people will say things like, well, I might lose my house. That's not going to happen, is it? If you think about these things now, you put things in place, you put barriers in place as you go, you deal with things as they come up. You would never put yourself in a position, most of us would never put ourselves or our family in a position where we would lose our house. We'd change tack way before that. We'd change what we were doing, we'd change ideas, we'd put something in place. So, and that's what this is about, okay? It's trying to address those fears and doubts and worries now. Think about them. Think about solving the problem before it comes up and what you could do about that. And this is the way that we start trampling the terror barrier. It's the way that we start convincing the paradigm that it's not such a bad thing after all, and we can deal with whatever comes up. Okay, so letting go of fear is step 7. I'll be back with step 8 in a few seconds. So step 8 in our 9-step process is what we call the power of praxis. And this is about integrating your beliefs with your behaviours. So people will say to me, yeah, I believe I can do that. I believe I can achieve that income. I believe I can achieve that goal because I've seen other people do it. If he can do it, why can't I do it? He's no better than I am. And that's kind of believing on a conscious level. Okay, that's sort of on a superficial level saying, yeah, I think I could do it. It's not believing it at a real soul level, really deep in your psyche thinking, I can have that. It's not just possible, it's inevitable that I'm going to have that. And that's what true belief is. It's knowing that it's actually going to happen, not really even just believing, it's knowing that this is going to happen if I do a certain number of things. So I want you to ask yourself, what needs to be true for you to get to a point where you're going to achieve your C-type goal? What would need to be true for you to know that your C-type goal is inevitable? Okay, and I want you to write down all those things. Really think about it. The whole point of this, the whole point of what we do is getting people to think, because most people don't really think. They are just kind of going through the day with mental activity going on, doing things habitually, driving places without thinking about it, reacting to things habitually, talking to people without really thinking about what they're saying or what they want to mean or what the consequences of that are going to be. Most people aren't thinking on an hour-to-hour basis, and that's what we get people to do, and that's how we reprogram your subconscious mind so that you can achieve the things you want to achieve. So, as I say, step 8 is integrating your beliefs with your behaviour. So you might say you believe something, but are the behaviours that you're exhibiting, do they actually show that? Are they actually in alignment with that? Because if they're not, If you're saying one thing but your actions are showing something else, that means that you don't actually believe it at the subconscious level. So what would need to be true for you to believe deep in your heart that that C-type goal is inevitable, that it's coming to you, that you know it's going to happen? What needs to be true? Okay, that's step 8. I'll be back in a few seconds with step 9. So step 9, the final step in our 9-step process, is what Earl Nightingale called the magic word. Okay, and the magic word is attitude. Your attitude will determine how far you get in life. Your attitude is going to determine whether you achieve your C-type goal or not. So all the other steps that we've spoken about before, if your attitude is off, if it's negative, if you're not able to maintain a positive attitude all the time, you are going to struggle to achieve your C-type goal. Okay? Your attitude is going to be the thing that drives you forward. It's going to be the thing that makes you get up on a morning, attack your to-do list, be able to ignore what other people are saying, be able to stick to your plan. And to be persistent, because persistence is a huge difference between people who achieve things in life and people who don't. The people who get what they want are the people who just keep going. And persistence is only going to be possible for you if you've got the right kind of attitude. So I want you to think about your attitude. And your attitude is made up of your thoughts and your feelings and your actions. So think about currently, your general attitude. When you think about when you wake up on a morning, what are the first kind of thoughts you have? What are the first kind of feelings that you have? Because they're the things that dictate your actions, and it's your actions that determine your results. Okay, so if your thoughts are of a negative persuasion, then you're going to end up with negative results. Because this is the process. This is the process that your mind goes through. It's your thoughts that you're having that determine how you feel. And it's those emotions, it's those feelings that you have that dictate the actions you take or don't take during the day. And that's what determines your results. So ask yourself, what's my attitude like currently? How able am I to stay positive? When things go wrong, how quickly am I able to get back into a positive frame of mind? Do I let my mood affect my actions? Do I let my mood affect the way I am with other people? Because that all springs from the thoughts that you're having. So if you are somebody who struggles with negativity, who struggles with negative emotions, who really gets down and can't get back out again, what can you do to change that? Because that feeds through to everything you do. The thoughts that you are having feed through to everything else that you're doing, and they ultimately will determine your results. So if you are thinking negatively, if you're frustrated about things, if you're angry about things, if you feel any kind of shame or guilt about towards yourself or towards other people, whatever those thoughts are, they're going to feed through to your results. So you need to take control of them. So what do you need to do to improve your attitude? Because you can always improve it. We spoke earlier about always striving for better. You can always improve your attitude, and the more you improve your attitude, the more you're going to see that feed through to your results. And it's like an upward spiral then, because the better your results are, the better your attitude gets, and it just keeps getting better. So attitude is the final step in our 9-step process for actually achieving your life goals. And if you follow this process, you won't go far wrong. You can achieve anything that you want to achieve. And this 9-step process is designed to help you do that. It's the process I take my clients through. It's the process I've gone through myself for the last 18 months. And my life has changed beyond recognition. So if you want to join us in my free 5-day Science of Success Quick Start Challenge, please do. We will be covering these things and more during the 5 days. It's a brilliant experience. You'll be able to see all the testimonials and the results that people have got when you go to the registration page. So it's academy.emmahaig.com /free-challenge, and I'll put the link below. Hope you've enjoyed my 9-step formula, and I'll see you in the next video.